welcome to Outside of a Cat, because outside of a cat, a book is a person's best friend.
This interview was recorded at Swancon in 2011. Swancon is a Western Australian science fiction and fantasy convention where fans and creators gather to discuss books, movies and games. Swancon has been running since 1976. Guests of honour have included Charles Stross, John Scalzi, Anne McCaffrey, Ryan Griffin, Mercedes Lackey, Anne Bishop, Terry Pratchett and Ellen Datlow.
I'm here with Simon Haynes, the author of the successful House Space Jock series.
Thank you.
I've heard you're working on a young adult version of HAL.
That's right, upper primary. So I'm aiming for sort of 9 to 12-year-olds. It's Hal Space Jock as a 10-year-old, and he's living on a space station with his parents. Gets into all sorts of scrapes.
That just doesn't sound like... I mean, it sounds awesome, but I would not like to be Hal's parents.
No, I mean, I do a lot of school talks for upper primary.
Yeah.
And I talk about falling off of roofs, falling off of bikes, accidentally shooting people with my air rifle, all sorts of stuff, which the teachers, their hair stands on end.
Yes.
And I thought, why not write a book with Hal? It's fictional, but it's some of the adventures are things that happen to me as well.
That's the kind of response I'm having.
Yeah. So, I want to write a book where parents go, I don't want my kids to read it, basically, which means they want to read it, which means I'll sell a heap. And then I can buy a second Jaguar. Ha ha.
That sounds very
authors
exciting.
are not commercially motivated at all.
No, marketing is not important.
No, marketing's not important. You should not start a blog.
You should never think about positioning yourself.
No, don't Twitter
merchandising.
No tweets about how many words you've written.
No,
definitely not. Just write the books, sell lots of books, and then write more books.
And don't ever buy Jaguars.
No, don't buy Jaguars. They break down all the time.
Okay.
Stick with a Subaru.
Thank you very much,
No
Simon.
worries,
I hope you have a great time at the convention.
Thank you.
I'm here with Richard Harlan, writer of World Shaker and Liberator. Congratulations on the coming release of Liberator.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's just a week away from when it actually comes out, and just having an advance copy here. But
yes,
this is the whole cover, very attractive cover.
It is,
and for me it's like a dream come true, because I started. Well, being able to finish novels was the first dream, and the second was that after 14 novels, World Shaker actually hit big internationally. It's sold to America and the UK and France and Germany and Brazil, and Liberator's going out all the same places, so it's kind of like, it's all happening.
And of course Liberator is the sequel to World Shaker.
That's right, it's the
so
second half.
Long awaited, well not long awaited, but eagerly awaited.
Yeah, well it's been 2 years, so it's been a little bit of a gap between them, but I'm really pleased with Liberator. I mean, World Shaker actually took me 15 years to write. 10 years planning and 5 years rewriting and rewriting and doing it 3 times over. Liberator, when I got into it, it came in a mad, wonderful rush in 6 months, the whole thing.
So tell me about Liberator.
Okay, World Shaker is set on a world of juggernauts. We're looking at 19th century. We're looking at a kind of an alternative history version of 19th century, and vast juggernauts 3 kilometres long by 1 kilometre wide are roaming over the face of the earth, and the particular one that we're on is called World Shaker, the British Juggernaut. It's an imperialist regime where they treat native people with complete indifference and just roll over the top of them, and where the underclass, which are called the filthies, actually are treated with monstrous cruelty. And I can reveal the end of World Shaker. The revolution does take place. So Liberator is 3 months further down the track, and the revolution has started to turn sour, because there is a saboteur on board who is actually wrecking the machinery, and people like Cole, who's the hero, they're getting blamed. They're the old upper class. They're naturally the ones who are getting blamed for the sabotage. Meanwhile, the other imperialist juggernauts are all converging on this one, which is World Shaker, now renamed Liberator, because they don't want the revolution to exist at all. So the revolution goes into an extreme phase. It's like the radicals take over. There's a reign of terror, and it all builds up and up and up and up.
Sounds wonderful. So Richard, Talk to me about steampunk.
Okay, steampunk is a big trend, particularly in America. It's kind of become the current fashion. It also happens to be what I wrote almost by accident, not knowing it was called steampunk. Think of like 19th century, think of Victoriana, think of sort of Dickensian clothing. But this isn't the real 19th century, this is the fantasy version. And the important thing particularly is the alternative technology. So the Juggernaut, which is 3 kilometres long, is like a huge moving piece of machinery, and the fascination with old-fashioned machinery is really what steampunk is most about, as in my little badge here. That's a steampunk badge. The vest with the buckles on. You see, it's kind of like 19th century, but 19th century that never really was. And that's kind of, I think, the appeal, to create old-fashioned machinery that didn't really exist, but you feel it should have done.
Yep. A different kind of fantasy.
It is. That's why I like it, actually. I love Tolkien-esque fantasy, but there's been so much of it. I really like the chance to do something that is fantasy, but different in feeling. Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to reading it. Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming and talking to us.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Hi, I'm with Carol Riles at Swancon. Hi, Carol. I'd particularly like to ask you about going to Clarion in the US.
Clarion US. Clarion West is an intensive writers' workshop that runs over 6 weeks. It's held yearly in 3 places, in Seattle, USA, San Diego and Brisbane. I went to the Seattle one, and it's aimed at science fiction writers who want to make a professional career out of science fiction writing, and we spend the entire 6 weeks writing and critiquing each other's work under the direction of professional writers.
Yeah. Sounds very intense.
Yes, definitely intense. Not much sleep, not much anything else.
Yeah, 6 weeks of writing.
Yeah,
fabulous opportunity.
It's best. Yeah, and I learned quite a lot. I learned humility most of all, but I also learned lots of different ways to improve my writing.
Yeah. Okay, and tell us about Trove.
Trove is a new project that started last year at the UWA, and it's an online creative arts journal by students for students. And we have undergraduate students on our steering committee and on our editorial committee, and our steering committee is run by postgrad students. And we publish short stories and poetry scripts, music performances, and
excellent opportunity for university. For university.
It's just for university students, but from anywhere in Australia. And we have a website at trove.uwa.arts.au, and we have guidelines and a mock issue up there as well as issue 1.
Sounds excellent. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So, what are you doing at Swancon?
We're just running a stall. I have a shop in Subiaco, and we thought we'd come along and meet the people here and just get a bit of exposure
and offer them candy. Yes. Are you having a good time?
Yeah, we are actually. People have been really lovely. This is my first time with anything to do with conventions, so it's been really eye-opening, and everyone's lovely.
You look fabulous, I have to say.
Thank you.
I do like the blue.
Thanks.
What's your shop called?
Beyond the Trapdoor.
And what kind of, let's have a look at the things you sell.
Okay. We are predominantly a fashion store, so we do a lot of rockabilly, 50s, rock and roll, greaser kind of fashion, and we do a lot of burlesque, so corsetry, backseam stockings, but we also do a lot of quirky things, and we like to profile local designers. So down that end is mostly perf designers who've made jewellery, coasters, fascinators, all sorts of things, yeah. So it's a bit of a range.
It looks fabulous.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Much. Lovely to meet you.
Please like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.